Who should you be playing, and how important is your character pick in Apex Legends? The global series has recently drawn to a close, the highlight of competitive Apex. The elites, the best of the best, the world's finest Apex players. Unlike in public lobbies, raw skill alone just isn't enough here. The standard is so high in these competitive games and everyone is so much closer together in terms of skill level that as a result, other variables become so much more important in order to secure those wins. We're talking positioning, timing, zone rotations, picking fights, when to push, when to retreat, managing ammo, managing heals, and of course, getting the most out of your character's utility. This ultimately means that team comp and character picks in competitive Apex are infinitely more important compared to the standard public and ranked lobbies. By far the most picked legend in this year's ALGS was Valkyrie, which should come as no surprise to most players. What is surprising, however, is how much her pick rate has shot up since last year's ALGS, where she was picked just 30% of the time. Compared with a staggering 98% pick rate this year, this meant that there was almost a Valkyrie on every single squad in every game of the championship. So why has Valkyrie got this reputation of being such a must-pick legend in competitive Apex? And to anyone familiar with her kit already, this is probably pretty obvious, but the biggest factor is her ultimate ability. Being able to take off from pretty much anywhere and reposition the whole squad. A good Valk ult can save your squad from most sticky situations, all while letting you rotate, reposition and get into a more desirable part of the map. And to top it off, you can have a cheeky look around and scan anyone within range while you're flying. While her tactical doesn't do much damage, it's fairly good for a bit of disruption and some poke damage, and her jetpack passive is nice for getting around and opening up some more vertical options while fighting. As a recon character, she can also scan beacons, which is a nice little bonus and shouldn't be underestimated, because it can actually be pretty huge for early rotations and zone control. On the whole, she just ticks so many of these variables we mentioned earlier, in terms of positioning and rotating, making her such a high impact legend. Taking a look at the global pick rates, Valkyrie has recently slipped into the #1 spot for most picked legend in the game. But does this mean you should become a Valkyrie main? It's not a simple yes or no really. The ALGS and competitive scene in general really amplifies the strengths and limitations of each individual legend, which can skew things a bit when looking at a glance.
Is that a lifeline that we are seeing right now?
We have a lifeline on display for the first time I've ever seen in the ALGS. Meltera on lifeline.
There's also a bit more than just the stats that goes into picking a legend to play, especially if you're new to the game. If you find her mobility appealing and the ease of getting around or repositioning, then by all means go for it, but she might not suit you if you have a slower and more defensive playstyle. Generally speaking, if you're playing casually, you can do well with any legend, and if you're having fun with your pick and you're comfortable with it, that's the main thing that should matter. It's also no secret how popular of a pick she is at the moment, and how busted her kit can be a lot of the time, meaning it's pretty likely that she'll be getting a nerf soon. So maybe hang fire before dumping too many hours into becoming a Valk main, because we could be seeing a bit of a shake-up in the meta next season. What changes do you think should be made to Valkyrie to bring her to a more balanced state? Or do you think she's already balanced as it is?